Okay, dear friends, good evening. How are you? Once again, today we have to start, and the topic of discussion is history of 18th century. My friends, from the first day onwards, I have always given you the advice. You are not simply reading history, but you are reading history in a specific manner, from different perspective, with different strategy. Here earlier you were moving in history from chapter to chapter and try to gather informations, and on the basis of informations then you try at your best to answer the question. But this method was a flop method, the flawed method, which method I am imparting you. That is the latest version which I have developed. For the sake of convenience, I have divided history in 4 parts: the history of 18th century, the history of colonialism, the history of nationalism, and the post-independence era when the nation building in India has taken place. We are already going across the topic history of 18th century. Even this history of 18th century is likely to be divided into 2 subparts: the first half of 18th century and the second half of 18th century. We have covered the first half of 18th century, which is marked by the disintegration of Mughal Empire and the rise of the multi-state system in India. Then we are going across the second half of 18th century whenever we have observed the scenario, the socio-economic and political scenario in Europe. How did the decline of Constantinople occur or take place, and it led to the sea voyages or geographical discovery, then the discovery of new regions in the world, the discovery of America, the expansion of trade in India, then the advent of European companies in India one by one: Portuguese, Dutch, British, Dane, French, etc. And then the French were the latecomers. The French East India Company was formed in 1664, and the French company appeared in India, or it laid foundation of its first factory at Surat in 1668, then in Masulipatam, Chandragiri, Pondicherry, etc. But the France would emerge to be the greatest rival to the British company in India. And for the hegemony, for establishing and for asserting its hegemony, a long conflict has to start between the British and the French company. तो आप लोगों में कुछ लोग जो इंग्लिश वाले हो वो भी समझ पा रहे होंगे, और मुझे नहीं लगता कि आपको इसमें कोई परेशानी होगी. हमने सुविधा से हिस्ट्री ऑफ मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री को 4 पार्ट में बांटा. हिस्ट्री ऑफ 18th सेंचुरी, द हिस्ट्री ऑफ कॉलोनियलिज्म, उपनिवेशवाद का इतिहास, द हिस्ट्री ऑफ नेशनलिज्म, राष्ट्रवाद का इतिहास, और पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस एरा मतलब स्वतंत्रता के बाद के भारत का इतिहास. और we are going across the second half of 18th century. Okay, but today I have sent you the study material on the topic colonialism. But in colonialism you will find the mercantile phase. Today I have sent to you the material. You may go through the study material, and if you are not clear, you have to maintain your patience, because whenever I will just move with the study material in the class, you will be crystal clear. So let me start now. Firstly, as earlier, I am going to place 5 questions before you, and you intelligent guys will answer my question, and I am confident you will answer my question. Question first: which of the following factors encouraged the eastern trade of the European companies during 17th century? First, emergence of a rich class in Europe. Rich means here the prosperous class. Prosperous class means which are just going to prosperous. The emergence of a prosperous class in Europe, the prosperous class which can intensify the demand of the products. Point number 2, luxury goods. Point number 2, promotion of sea voyages. And third, availability of precious metal from America. They are the 3 factors. My students, code choice A 2 and 3, B 1 and 3, C 1, 2 and 3, and C 3 only. So my students who are having the 4 choices, please be fast and try to answer my question as early as possible. Mr. Ankur, be conscious. Maximum number C. C is the correct answer, my guys. My friends, you have done well if you have selected the choice number C. Choice number C is the correct answer, because point first is also a factor. If there is the rise of a prosperous class, so this prosperous, this rich class, this elite class will intensify the demand of luxury goods, which will encourage trade. And point number 2, sea voyages, because discovery of new regions will automatically lead to the expansion of trade. And point number 3, availability of precious metal. And precious metal were available from America, only then they can exchange the precious metal with the luxury goods of the East. Otherwise, it was not possible to carry the one-sided trade with the East. You are well aware of the fact. So point number 3 is also correct. So all the 3 is the correct answer. Now, question number 2. Which of the following were joint stock companies? Point 1, Portuguese company. Point 2, British company. Point 3, Dutch company. Point 4, French company. Code A 1 and 3, B 2 and 3, C 2, 3 and 4, D 2 only. Please be fast and answer my question quickly. Maximum B 2 and 3, British and Dutch company. You are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Question number 3. Which of the following rulers is given the credit to have expelled the Dutch from India? Point A, Marthan Burma of Travancore, B, Jamurin of Calicut, C, Alivardi Khan of Bengal, and D, Sadat Khan of Awadh. My students, you have to select one of them. Please be fast and try to answer my question. Marthan Burma of Travancore. Good. Excellent. Choice number A is the correct answer. About this question, I was a bit apprehensive whether my student is going to answer this question or not, but you have successfully answered my question. Question number 4. The Battle of Saint Tome took place during which Carnatic War? My friends, so far I have not taught you the Carnatic War, but through my study material, you might have gone through the topic like Carnatic Wars as well as the Battle of Palasi and Buxar. And today I will finish the second half of 18th century along with you. So my friends, you have to take your own discretionary, you can say use your own discretionary power, and at your own you have to answer this question. So please answer my question as fast as possible. Point A, first Carnatic War, B, second Carnatic War, C, third Carnatic War, D, none of the above. First Carnatic War, yes. The Battle of Saint Tome, first Carnatic War. Today, I will brief the story and you people will be clear that first Carnatic War is the actual answer. Question number 5. Which of the following states didn't remain to be the part of Mughal Empire? Didn't remain to be the part of Mughal Empire. Which of the following states? And you have to select one which had not remained to be the part of the Mughal Empire. Choice A, Hyderabad. Choice B, Maratha state. Choice C, Punjab state. Choice D, Mysore state. So please, my students, be fast and answer my question. Yes, D is the correct answer. In this way, my students, how many of you have just selected all the 5 correct answers? Can I imagine how many students? Today, my students, I am informing you that actually I have just your study material is being transferred, and some telegram link has also been formed. So please, you people are requested to make a contact with the this Khan Study Circle office, and there will be someone to entertain your inquiry, and from them you have to find out the link from where and where to search the study material. Apart from that, there is some quiz program as well, on daily quiz on history polity. Apart from that, I think you people will have other facilities as well. So better to try to find out the link at Telegram. There you will enjoy a lot of help from the institute. Up now, my students, I'm just returning to the topic, which one in the previous class, Rebel Sikh states, I have already done this topic, and then I'm just moving to this point, the Carnatic War. And earlier than that, I have told you, in fact, how the European trade was expanding, and I have formed a diagram as well. The third battle of Panipat was fought in Achha, I have told to my students, Ankur, I have committed a mistake, so today I will answer. First of all, I answer my question. My student, I am extremely sorry, because it became difficult to provide you the answer in a single question. So today I am dictating you the answer. You people have to follow. And what is the question? This question is, once again, I am coming to the question and I am answering the question on your behalf. You people have to try. The third battle of Panipat was fought in 1761. Why were so many empire shaking battles fought at Panipat alone? Matlab Panipat. So my students, I am going to answer this question in this manner. So you people have to follow. Because in the first one sentence they have just mentioned about the third battle of Panipat. So I am starting in this manner. The third battle of Panipat, the third battle of Panipat, was unique in the sense that in this battle both the combatant powers came from outside hyphen one from Afghanistan and other from South India. India. I have given this sentence. My student, maybe it is not visible to you, but you can follow my dictation. The third battle of Panipat was unique in the sense that both the combatant powers came from outside, one from Afghanistan, another from South India. Now, second one sentence I am just going to pronounce. Second one sentence. Most interestingly, this battle was fought in the vicinity of Delhi, but Delhi-based power Delhi based power was not having any role in it, therefore this battle symbolized the demise of mighty Mughal Empire. So my students, in this dictation, because actually I have earlier promised you that I will send you the model answer, but later I find some practical difficulty. वहाँ पर थोड़ी मुझे दिक्कतें होने लगी कि अकेला क्वेश्चन भेजना मुश्किल है. So that's why I am dictating you. And apart from that, I will be conscious about the fact that in future, whenever I will give you the topic on the study material on the topic, so question model answers would be accommodated in the topic itself. So you will not find difficulty. In natural course, you will go through the topic and you will simultaneously go through the model answer as well. So there you will not find any difficulty. I will be careful about that. So here you find कि in the first sentence is over and the first part of the question I have finished. The first part of the question is that in fact in the third battle of Panipat, significance is that it symbolized the end of the Mughal Empire because both the parties came from outside while the power that be in Delhi didn't play any significant role. Now in the second part, why did the earth-shaking battle occurred in Panipat? This is also important question. So whenever the defense line of northwest crumbled, any invading army could cross Punjab. For example, the first such scientific defense line was Kabul, Ghazni, Kandahar defense line. After that, river Indus could work as a barrier if invading army crosses crossed past tense है crossed river Indus another defense line was Lahore, Multan, Dipalpur defense line. After crossing this line, invading army got an open route through Haryana to Delhi. Delhi. But just near Delhi, Panipat appeared to be a choke point. So, Delhi-based power used to make the last ditch effort to block the route of invading army at Panipat. Therefore, some earth-shaking battles during medieval period occurred in Panipat alone. In this way, my students, I have tried to answer this question. I think you may be comfortable those students, most of the students are coming from English medium. Some students are having just, you can say, prefer some support from me in Hindi words as well. So keeping those students in my mind, I am making clear. बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है. पूछा गया है कि भाई अर्थ शेकिंग, जो धरती को हिलाने वाली जो लड़ाइयां हैं, वो पानीपत में ही क्यों घटित हुई. नहीं, ये सेकेंड पार्ट क्वेश्चन का है. फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन है कि थर्ड बैटल अकर्ड इन 1761. तो इसलिए मैंने क्लियर किया कि देखो भाई, थर्ड बैटल यूनिक है क्योंकि दोनों पार्टी बाहर से आई हुई है. दिल्ली बेस्ड पावर का उसमें कोई रोल नहीं है. जो मुगल्स हैं, एक अफगानिस्तान से आया है, एक साउथ इंडिया से आया. इसका मतलब है कि दिल्ली बेस्ड पावर है वो नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट प्रैक्टिकली हो चुका है, उसका कोई वजूद नहीं रह गया. और सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चन में हमने कहा कि नॉर्थ वेस्ट में जो भी डिफेंस लाइन वीक पड़ता है, तो एक के बाद क्रॉस करके जो हमारी इन्वेडिंग आर्मी होती है वो पंजाब को क्रॉस कर लेती है, और जो भी बैरियर है पंजाब तक है. फिर हरियाणा का ओपन फील्ड है, और हरियाणा का ओपन फील्ड के बाद दिल्ली से पहले चौक पॉइंट पानीपत ही है, जहां दिल्ली बेस्ड पावर लास्ट डिच एफर्ट लगाता है. वी हैव टू ब्लॉक द आर्मी एटलीस्ट इन पानीपत. इसीलिए जो अर्थ शेकिंग वॉर है वो पानीपत में ही हुआ है. तो दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव आंसर्ड दिस क्वेश्चन. माय स्टूडेंट्स, यू मे बी कंफर्टेबल. एंड अंकुर, व्हाट इज द पोजीशन ऑफ माय स्टूडेंट्स? आर दे ओके? और अंकुर, आर दे ओके माय स्टूडेंट्स? Are they okay? Yeah. My students, I am just returning to that point I have left previously. We are just before the Carnatic Wars. Actually, what happened? I am just telling you कि I have dealt with certain questions in the previous class. What is the government company? What is the joint stock company? What is the difference between a government company and a joint stock company? And you people have asked, you people earlier asked me some question, and I have duly replied this question. So I think you people may not have any difficulty. Then one issue, why did the European companies were fighting against each other? In order to eliminate each other in the trade competition. Because if the competition was going on, so obviously you can say Indian products were going to be costly, and that would definitely hamper the profit in trade. So they just try to eliminate their nearest rival so that the input cost of the trade would be reduced, and that will definitely increase the profit. Because if some rival party will be eliminated, then that company will have the monopoly over the price of the products which are being sold in India, and on this basis they will just purchase the products at cheaper rate and sell them at costlier rate outside of India, so they will be benefited. So that's why they were fighting against each other. Then the second issue I have dealt with you, why did they pick up the quarrel with Indian rulers? It is due to the fact that as they were fighting against the other companies, so in order to strengthen their position vis-a-vis other companies, they used to fortify their factory. They used to make the forts, they will make the military preparation, they will earn the military power. So that was tormenting, and that was disturbing to the ruler of the region, because the ruler of the region was taking the step on the part of the company as a challenge to their sovereign status. So that's why this ruler was putting a point of objection ki how can you fortify your region and how can you build such a strong army without our prior permission. So due to this factor, normally the conflict or differences started between an European company and the ruler in the region, and it sometime erupted into a war. For example, the Carnatic War, for example, the Battle of Plassey, etc., etc. So this was the reason. I think, my students, you may be clear. Whenever you will find difficulty, here I am to help you. मतलब मैंने हिंदी वालों को मैं आपको बताना चाहता, बेसिकली आप लोगों का तो इंग्लिश का एक अलग बैच भी होगा, लेकिन मैं फिर भी आई एम जस्ट हेल्पिंग यू. कि होता ये था कि अब यूरोपियन कंपनी आपस में लड़ती झगड़ती थी, तो आपस में उनका फाइट होता था, तो आपस में पोजीशन को स्ट्रांग करने के लिए अपने फोर्ट बनाने लगती, किले बनाने लगती, आर्मी को एक्वायर करने लगती। तो जिस रीजन में ये सब वो करती, उस रीजन के रूलर को लगता कि यार ये तो बड़ी अजीब बात है, मैं तो कहीं नहीं रह गया, मेरा तो सॉवरेन स्टेटस ही नहीं रह गया, ये बिना हमसे हमारे कोई परमिशन के ये लोग मिलिट्री प्रिपरेशन कर रहे हैं। तो उस पर ऑब्जेक्शन करता है कि खबरदार, आप अपने फोर्ट को तोड़ लीजिए, आप अपने आर्मी को डिमोबिलाइज करिए। तो इसी मुद्दे पर उनसे भी इनकी लड़ाई हो जाती। तो दैट हैपेंड इन केस ऑफ कर्नाटिक वॉर ऑल्सो एंड द बैटल ऑफ पलासी। आई विल डिस्कस विथ यू। तो अब हम चलते हैं कर्नाटिक वॉर की तरफ, ओके, और तब बैटल ऑफ पलासी की तरफ जाएंगे। देखो, here you come to know that the Carnatic Wars were not merely a conflict between the British company and the French company, rather it was a conflict between the two empires, i.e. the British Empire and the French Empire. Thus, these wars not only decided the future of French company in India, but also the balance of power in Europe and America. More than one factors were responsible for the Carnatic Wars. These are as follows. First, let me brief you. You know, in India, a number of companies appeared in India from time to time, and if you are going to just observe the chronology of their advent in India, so Portuguese, Dutch, British, Dane, then French. But question arises कि why did? Because earlier the British had to fight against Portuguese company as well, Dutch company as well. But no other company could give such a formidable challenge to the British company as was done by the French company. What was the reason behind that? मतलब इतनी सारी कंपनीज थी, लेकिन फ्रेंच कंपनी ब्रिटिश को इतना तगड़ा फाइट क्यों दिया? बिकॉज इट वॉज नॉट सिंपली अ मैटर ऑफ कन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन टू कंपनीज, इट वॉज अ मैटर ऑफ conflict between the two empires. Whenever I will teach you world history, I will make you clear. In Europe, this period is marked by an intense imperialistic rivalry between the British Empire and the French Empire. Both were inclined to create the largest number of colonies in the world. So both were fighting with each other. Whosoever was win over this war, so they will create the largest colony in the world. My students, I will inform you, and which became even the cause behind the Third Carnatic War, and that is the 7 Years' War which occurred in Europe. And this 7 Years' War that occurred between 1756 and 1763. Do you know, in world history, the 7 Years' War was characterized as the mini world war, because it was not simply fought in Europe, but also in Asia and also in American continent. And in this war, only French and the British were not the parties, but apart from British and French, even Persian state, Prussia, Austria, and many other European companies were also involved. So this became the pretext, and this became the precursor to the Third Carnatic War in India. So my point is that this Carnatic War was not simply a war between the two companies, but rather you can say it was the extension of a war between the two empires for world dominance. Whosoever was winning this war will dominate the world, and unfortunately or fortunately, it was the British power which had to dominate the world in future. So you will just observe this phenomena in European history. मतलब मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि ये दो एम्पायर्स के बीच का वॉर है, और जो इस वॉर में जीतता वो दुनिया में सबसे बड़ा एम्पायर, कॉलोनियल एम्पायर बना था। इसमें फ्रेंच पिछड़ जाएंगे और ब्रिटिश आगे बढ़ जाएंगे। यहाँ पर हमने 3 फैक्टर्स आपको बताए हैं कि व्हाट वर द रीजंस बिहाइंड द कर्नाटिक वॉर। तो first one factor was that this war were linked to the European politics, because in Europe you can say that when the British and French power started to fight against each other, so this war extended to India as well, and French and the British companies were easily just fell into this trap, and a war, or you can say a conflict starts between the British and French company in India. So it was the extension of European question. As for the second Carnatic War, you can say both the parties were inclined to have the control over the both the party means ki both the companies were inclined to have inclined to have the control over the trade in peninsular India. So trade in peninsular India, so both the companies even started to intervene into the succession matter of Indian states, which would be instrumental behind the Second Carnatic War. And the third one is one of the objectives of both the companies behind the Carnatic Wars was to establish control over the southern trade. Both the companies were constantly making efforts to take advantage of the rivalry between the Indian states, and these wars were also linked with the political ambition of the French and the British company. मतलब बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं, टोटल 4 फैक्टर्स हमने मेंशन किए हैं which were instrumental behind this Carnatic Wars. My students, I am just going to deal with the first Carnatic War. What happened? Firstly, let me brief about all the Carnatic War. What is Carnatic? You may be a bit curious. This is the state of Hyderabad, okay? And in the part of Hyderabad, this is Carnatic. And it is, you will find that even Madras was falling within Carnatic, and Pondicherry was also falling within Carnatic. So what was the reason behind the first Carnatic War? This first Carnatic War occurred, you will find in my study material, between 1744 and 1748. And it was the extension of European question. In Europe, Austrian War of Succession started, and British and French, both the states, joined the rival party against each other. Means ki the British gave support to one contender of the throne and French another contender of the throne. So a war erupted between the British and the French in the matter of Austrian war, in Austrian succession issue. So once this war started in 1742 itself, and its extension took place in 1744 in India. As the result of the extension, you can say that British and French party even picked up the quarrel with each other. मतलब शुरू हुआ यूरोप में, एक्सटेंशन हुआ इंडिया में, और यूरोप में 1742 में ऑस्ट्रियन सक्सेशन मैटर मतलब उत्तराधिकार की समस्या उपस्थित हुई, और इंडिया में 1744 में उसका एक्सटेंशन हो गया. और ये जिसको आप फर्स्ट कर्नाटिक वॉर कहते हो, दैट अकर्ड बिटवीन 1744 to 48. अब हु टुक इनिशिएटिव? इट वाज द ब्रिटिश पार्टी हु टुक इनिशिएटिव. अब देयर इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एपिसोड कि देयर वाज अ ब्रिटिश मिलिट्री जनरल और ब्रिटिश नेवल ऑफिसर, his name was Major Barnett. Major Barnett, picked up some adventure, and it was Major Barnett who initiated capturing some French fleet. Major Barnett tried to capture some French fleet. So French were quite, you can say, irritated and outrageous against the British behavior. So at that time, a very competent French governor was ruling at that time. His name was Dupleix. So Dupleix, out of rage, Dupleix made a contact with the French authority at Mauritius. Mauritius, just nearby in African coast. So Mauritius. So Mauritius authority was powerful. It sent a military fleet under an officer, La Bourdonnais. And La Bourdonnais just moved from Mauritius towards India and Karnataka region. And just after advent to Karnataka region, this La Bourdonnais captured Madras itself. The British region of Madras was captured by French party with the support of Mauritius authority. So it was, British was now quite nervous, because British was in a very difficult condition. That you can equate the condition of the British with the man who just went for taking a degree and even lost a diploma. So same happened in case of British. उन्होंने कहाँ चला था फ्रेंच को परेशान करने, और उल्टा फ्रेंच ने उनके मद्रास पर कंट्रोल कर लिया, मद्रास पर कब्जा कर लिया. अब when British came to realize that they could not reconquer and they could not regain Madras at their own, so they made a contact with the Nawab of Carnatic. And who was the Nawab of Carnatic at that time? His name was Anwaruddin. So British party made a complaint to Anwaruddin कि French has captured our region Madras. Please release our region from the clutch of French. So Anwaruddin just took this step on the part of the French party as if it was a challenge to his sovereign authority. So Anwaruddin just passed an order, or you can say gave an ordinance to French party to vacate Madras as early as possible. But Dupleix, French governor, refused to comply with the order of Anwaruddin. So it was disturbing for Anwaruddin. It was a direct challenge to his authority. So he sent a big army of 10,000 soldiers under Mahfuz Khan to punish French. And surprisingly, the French organized 700 sipahis or 700 soldiers which were just prepared on modern line and on the support of the modern weapons. And in 1746, you will find that if there was a battle, you will be the very famous battle, you might have heard the name. Just I have asked a question from you people. Is the Battle of Saint Thome. So this Battle of Saint Thome occurred, and in this Battle of Saint Thome, simply a smaller French contingent under Captain Paradise defeated a giant army of Mahfuz Khan, which was in which there were 10,000 soldiers. So it became a trendsetter. This battle, the Battle of Saint Thome, proved a landmark because it symbolized the success of European military tactics on existing Indian method. It proved the military prowess of the Europeans in India. So now Anwaruddin was defeated, and after that Anwaruddin became helpless. Anwaruddin could not help the British to regain Madras. But in 1748, finally you can say a battle, the war ended between the British and the French party in Europe, and there was the signing of a treaty that is known as the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Even in your study material, you find the name of the treaty, that is called the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. French Empire and Carnatic Wars. So you will come to just 1 minute. First Carnatic War. Here we will come to know the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle in 1748, and on the basis of this Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, you know, finally Madras was returned to the British. So the war was over. So that thus ended the First Carnatic War. Then you reach to the Second Carnatic War. Second Carnatic War started in India not on European question, but rather it was on a local issue. And due to the ambitious behavior of the British, the French officer Dupleix and the British officers in India, it was on Indian question it started. What happened? So I have told you earlier that there was, you know, this was the state of Hyderabad. This was the state of Hyderabad, you know, state of Hyderabad. And this was the state of Carnatic. The point is that this was the state of Carnatic, this was the state of Hyderabad. And it was the time in 1748 in Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jah, the competent ruler of Hyderabad, he passed away. And he was having two successors, you know, Nasir Jung and Muzaffar Jung. So both were at loggerheads and both started to fight each other on the issue of succession matter. Who was going to be the successor of Nizam? Once the succession conflict started between the two, so French party Dupleix decided to make benefit from the situation. So Dupleix just did a secret arrangement with Muzaffar Jung against Nasir Jung, and then he became a party to it. So when Dupleix was going to join Muzaffar Jung, so as British company was rival to French, so British started to give support to Nasir Jung. So that happened in case of Hyderabad. Then come to Karnataka. In Karnataka, you will come to know, actually there was not the succession matter in natural course. Anwaruddin was already alive. Anwaruddin was alive and Anwaruddin was Nawab of Carnatic. But there emerged to be a new question. In fact, the son-in-law of Anwaruddin was Chanda Sahib. And Chanda Sahib was too much ambitious. So Chanda Sahib tried to dethrone his father-in-law and capture the throne. So Chanda Sahib made a secret deal with French. And French were already irritated at the behavior of Anwaruddin earlier, in the Battle of Saint Thome. So French, Dupleix signed a secret treaty with Chanda Sahib against, Anwaruddin. So in this way, in both the regions, once the French party supported Chanda Sahib, and Anwaruddin earlier you can say gave support to the British in the first Carnatic War. So obviously you can say that British gave support to Anwaruddin. In this way you can say both the parties were involved into the succession matter. My students, there are a lot of issues are there. So I will not get you involved into the issue. Here you will come to know that the Second Carnatic War was also an extension of Anglo-French rivalry, but this time political ambitions of the French company was a major reason. During this war, French governor Dupleix, French ambition of the French company was a major reason. During this war, French governor Dupleix tried to take advantage of rivalry between Indian rulers to increase the political influence of France in India. In fact, the Second Carnatic War was linked with the War of Succession in Hyderabad and Carnatic, which started immediately with the intervention of Dupleix into these wars of successions. At the end, Hyderabad came under the control of France and Carnatic came under the influence of British. But in sum total, a number of events have taken place. My students, I will just involve into the events, so that will be tiresome for you people. So I am avoiding the whole, you can say, conflict, and simply I am coming to the conclusion in sum total, what was the conclusion of this conflict? Hyderabad fell under the influence of French power and Carnatic British power. So almost there is division of two states between the French and the British. Means ki at that time Anwaruddin was killed. So Anwaruddin was assassinated. So after Anwaruddin, his successor was Muhammad Ali. So Muhammad Ali was near to the British. So Carnatic was under the influence of the British, while Hyderabad, Muzaffar Jung, and even Muzaffar Jung died suddenly or met his accidental death. So after Muzaffar Jung, Salabat Jung was new Nawab. So Salabat Jung gave support to the Salabat Jung was near to the French company. So French company put its control over Hyderabad under Salabat Jung. And here you can say Dupleix has made a very interesting arrangement. There was a French military officer, his name was Bussy. So Dupleix deployed Bussy with an army in the court of Hyderabad. Pretext was that he is for the protection of the Nawab, but actual objective was to protect Hyderabad from the future British control. Or here the Dupleix was protecting the French interest in Hyderabad, but in the name of protection of Nawab himself. And Bussy, a very competent military officer, was just employed at Hyderabad court by Dupleix. So this arrangement was done. So that is in the Second Carnatic War. Finally, you can say the Second Carnatic War was concluded. Second Carnatic War was concluded in 1754. But my students, up to this period, the French government was upset at the behavior of Dupleix. I have told you earlier, the French company was a government company, and the government was making a lot of undue interference into the functioning of the company, and Dupleix was in habit of taking independent decision, although he was a very competent officer, and whatever decision he took in the interest of the company. But it was quite intolerable for the French government. Why did Dupleix do such an why did Dupleix display such an independent behavior? So for that factor, he had to be punished now, and he was recalled to France. Means that now he was no more a governor, and he was recalled to France. And in place of Dupleix, an incompetent governor was employed in Karnataka, in you can say Pondicherry, and or you can say French headquarter. His name was Godehu. Godehu was not competent like Dupleix. I will discuss this phenomena in Third Carnatic War. Yes, Mr. Ankur, is there any question? अच्छा, मैं इंग्लिश वाले बच्चों के डिमांड पर फर्स्ट कर्नाटिक वॉर मैं एक बार हिंदी में थोड़ा बताने जा रहा हूं, तो मेरे इंग्लिश वाले बच्चों को कोई ऑब्जेक्शन तो नहीं है? देखो इंग्लिश वाले बच्चों, आप लोगों को मैं कोई इंटरेस्ट हैम्पर नहीं करने दूंगा। ये बेसिकली बैच, दिस इज द बैच बिलोंग्स टू इंग्लिश, but some of the students who are not so proficient in English, they have also just came on the site, so they are placing a demand that some things should be delivered to them in Hindi as well. So my students, here my point is, in order to keeping their interest in my mind, I will just brief the story in Hindi as well. If I think in my English students who are purely coming from purely English background, so this should not have any point of objection, because first I will deliver in English, and then in order to give them the comfort, I will just speak in Hindi as well. देखो पहला कर्नाटिक वॉर में क्या हुआ था, यूरोप में एक कंट्री है ऑस्ट्रिया, तो वहां का थ्रोन खाली हो गया था, तो उसके पर दो जो कंटेंडर्स थे, दो उसके दावेदार थे कंटेंडर्स, तो उनका आपस में उस थ्रोन को कब्जा करने के लिए संघर्ष शुरू हुआ। उसको कहते हैं वॉर ऑफ सक्सेशन, ऑस्ट्रियन वॉर ऑफ सक्सेशन। सक्सेशन कहते हैं उत्तराधिकार को। तो फ्रेंच एम्पायर था, फ्रांस, उसने एक पार्टी को सपोर्ट किया, ब्रिटिश ने दूसरे पार्टी को सपोर्ट किया। तो चूंकि दोनों ने सपोर्ट किया, तो अब क्या हुआ कि वहां पर वॉर छिड़ गया ब्रिटिश और फ्रेंच में। तो ब्रिटेन, वहां यूरोप में वॉर छिड़ा ब्रिटेन और फ्रांस में, तो उसका एक्सटेंशन इंडिया में हो गया 1744 में फर्स्ट कर्नाटिक वॉर में। यहां पर क्या हुआ, एडवेंचर पहले ब्रिटिश ने ही किया। एक ब्रिटिश पुलिस ऑफिसर था, आर्मी ऑफिसर था, उसका नाम बार्नेट था। उसने कुछ फ्रेंच फ्लीट को, उसके कुछ जहाजों को पकड़ लिया। इसी पर डुप्ले जो गवर्नर था, उसने मॉरिशस में जो अथॉरिटी था, वो मॉरिशस अथॉरिटी को कहा कि ऐसा है कि आप हमको तुरंत सहायता भेजिए। तो मॉरिशस अथॉरिटी ने जो उसको सहायता भेजी, वही सहायता लेकर वो आई। तो वहां से ला बुडेनस, एक मिलिट्री ऑफिस, एक नौसैनिक अधिकारी था, उसको एक बड़े जहाज पर भेजा गया। वही ला बुडेनस है, उसने आते ही मद्रास पर कब्जा कर लिया। अब तो ब्रिटिश बड़े मुश्किल में फंस गए कि भाई चले थे डिग्री लेने, डिप्लोमा भी चला गया। तब उन्होंने कर्नाटक के नवाब अनवरुद्दीन को गुहार लगानी शुरू कर दी कि हमारे मद्रास को छुड़वा दीजिए। अनवरुद्दीन ने फ्रेंच कंपनी को ऑर्डर दिया, आदेश पारित किया कि भाई मद्रास खाली करो। फ्रेंच कंपनी ने कहा नहीं करेंगे। तो उसने 10,000 की एक बड़ी सेना भेजी। तो सेंट टोमे की लड़ाई में एक छोटी सी 700 की एक छोटी सी मिलिट्री कंटिजेंट लेकर, और फ्रेंच पार्टी ने सेंट टोमे की लड़ाई में 10,000 की उनकी सेना को पराजित कर दिया। तो ये तो एक बहुत बड़ा लैंडमार्क वॉर है। इसने सिद्ध कर दिया कि यूरोपियन जो टैक्टिक्स है वॉर की, बहुत सक्सेसफुल है। और उनका था लाइट इन्फेंट्री। लाइट इन्फेंट्री मतलब गन हाथ में लिए रहते, सामने घोड़े वाले, हाथी वाले दौड़ रहे हैं, उनको तुरंत गोली मार देते, वो गिर जाते। और इसके बाद अब तो अनवरुद्दीन हेल्पलेस हो गया, वो कुछ खाली नहीं करवा सका मद्रास को। लेकिन तभी वहां यूरोप में एक संधि, उसका नाम है एक्सला शैपेल नाम है, और उसी ट्रीटी के आधार पर ब्रिटिश और फ्रेंच के बीच मेल मिलाप वहां हुआ। तो दोनों में यहां भी रजामंदी हो गई, और फिर फ्रेंच ने कहा कि भाई मद्रास खाली कर दो। फ्रांसीसी सरकार ने कहा, तो फ्रांसीसी कंपनी ने ब्रिटिश के मद्रास को खाली कर दिया। दस एंडेड द वॉर। तो मुझे लगता है आप लोगों के समझ में आ गया होगा, किसी को कोई प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं हुआ। मिस्टर अंकुर, आस्क देम। All are okay? We are moving to Third Carnatic War. Do you like Third Carnatic War? सेकंड भी हिंदी में, अब सब कुछ हिंदी में, तो बड़ा टाइम टेकिंग हो जाएगा यार मेरे लिए। देखो सेकेंड कर्नाटिक वॉर में क्या हुआ कि वो यूरोपियन क्वेश्चन नहीं था, वो क्या हुआ कर्नाटिक में ही। तुम लोग ऐसा क्यों नहीं करते हो, जो हिंदी सुनना चाहते हो, तुम इंग्लिश में स्टडी मटेरियल लो, और मैं हिंदी वाले में भी तो इंग्लिश का स्टडी मटेरियल देता हूं, तुम हिंदी वाला लेक्चर सुनो ना। आप देखो, क्लास जब इंग्लिश में समाप्त करूंगा तो हिंदी स्टार्ट करूंगा। तो मैं आप लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि जब तक इंग्लिश वाले हैं वो हिंदी वाले में लेक्चर सुने, और मटेरियल तो मैं इंग्लिश में दे ही रहा हूं। तो हिंदी वाले साइट पर आपको क्या अंकुर, हिंदी इंग्लिश दोनों स्टडी मटेरियल है ना, तो आप स्टडी मटेरियल इंग्लिश में ले लीजिए और लेक्चर हिंदी में सुनिए, तो आपको ज़्यादा सुविधा होगी अगर हिंदी सुनने में मजा आता है तो दोनों लैंग्वेज में चल रहा है पैरेलल में, नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल। देयर वुड बी अ सेपरेट बैच फॉर इंग्लिश एज वेल, नो प्रॉब्लम एट ऑल। तो कर्नाटक में और हैदराबाद में दोनों का थ्रोन खाली हुआ, दोनों में सक्सेशन का प्रॉब्लम हुआ, निजाम मुल्क का डेथ हो गया, उसका दो उत्तराधिकारी मुजफ्फर जंग और नासिर जंग आपस में गद्दी के लिए संघर्ष करने लगे। तो फ्रेंच ने मुजफ्फर जंग को सपोर्ट किया और ब्रिटिश ने नासिर जंग को सपोर्ट किया। उसी तरह से कर्नाटक में एक थ्रोन तो खाली नहीं हुआ था, अनवरुद्दीन बना हुआ था, लेकिन उसका जो दामाद था सन इन लॉ, वो चंदा साहेब, वो बड़ा एम्बिशस था। उसने फ्रेंच गवर्नर डुप्ले से साठगांठ कर ली कि भाई, उसे सीक्रेट एक अरेंजमेंट कर लिया कि भाई आप मेरे फादर इन लॉ को हटा के मुझे गद्दी पर बैठा दो। उधर ब्रिटिश को तो वैसे भी अनवरुद्दीन से ज्यादा प्यार था, तो ब्रिटिश ने अनवरुद्दीन को सहायता कर दी। तो ब्रिटिश ने अनवरुद्दीन को सहायता की तो जाहिर है कि दोनों बट गए, और फिर कर्नाटिक वॉर, इसी सेकेंड कर्नाटिक वॉर शुरू हो गया। इसमें बहुत सारी घटनाएं हैं छोटी मोटी, तो उसको इग्नोर करते हुए लास्ट में तुमको मैंने इतना ही बता दिया कि 1754 में एंड हुआ और हैदराबाद पर फ्रेंच इन्फ्लुएंस स्थापित हो गया और कर्नाटक पर ब्रिटिश इन्फ्लुएंस। तो इसी के साथ इसको एंड कर लो। हाँ, लेकिन इसमें फ्रेंच गवर्नमेंट इरिटेटेड हो गई, उसको लगता था कि डुप्ले हमको एक्स्ट्रावेगेंट वॉर में, खर्चीले युद्ध में फंसा रहा है, तो हम डुप्ले को विड्रॉ कर लेते हैं। उसने डुप्ले को वापस बुला लिया, उसकी जगह एक इनकॉम्पिटेंट गवर्नर को भेज दिया जिसका नाम था गोडेहू। तो गोडेहू उतना कॉम्पिटेंट नहीं है। अब थर्ड कर्नाटिक वॉर देखो, उसमें तुम्हारा प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा कि थर्ड कर्नाटिक वॉर में व्हाट हैपेंड। मिस्टर अंकुर, आर ओके? शुड आई गो फर्दर? अब माय स्टूडेंट्स सब ओके हैं? देखो भाई, मुझे सबकी चिंता लगी रहती है, तुम लोगों को क्लैरिटी में कोई कमी नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्वेश्चन राइटिंग में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होनी चाहिए। आई एम हेयर टू हेल्प यू ऑल द पीपल। वेन एवर यू फाइंड डिफिकल्टी, प्लीज कन्वे मी, आई विल ऑलवेज हेल्प यू। ऑल आर ओके? So my students, now we are moving to the third Carnatic War. Third Carnatic War is a very dramatic event because it was the extension of once again the European question. What happened in Europe? In Europe, 7 years war started. Whenever I will teach you world history, I will make you clear what you know as the 7 years war which had occurred between 1756 and 1763. It was characterized as the mini world war because this war spread to different continents and outside of Europe, in America and Asia, and more than 2 and 3 parties were involved into this war. So here you can say that once the war started there in 1756, so preparation started in India as well. So preparation started, So my students, this is a matter of surprise for me. In 1757, the Battle of Plassey occurred. Whenever I will teach you the question of Bengal, I will make you clear. Actually, when the Carnatic was already preparing for a war, in Karnataka region, the British and the French party were just preparing for a war. In the meantime, a new question emerged in Bengal, and when governor of Bengal was in difficulty, so he demanded help from Madras. So Madras, the authority at Madras sent Clive and Watson to help the authority at Bengal. So it was Clive and Watson who could win the Battle of Plassey. So still, my students, it is a matter of surprise for me when the already 7 years war started in Europe and a warlike environment was created in India, and both the parties were making preparation for war. So why did not French party launch a war in Madras at the time when British were involved into the Battle of Plassey in Bengal? If Dupleix could have been there, the same could happen, and then it might have very, a big blow to the British power in India. But Godehu was possibly not so competent as to seize the opportunity in his favor or in the favor of the French party. That's why he didn't get success here. Now you can say the Third Carnatic War started. So in 1758, this extended to Karnataka region after the Battle of Plassey in Karnataka region, and a battle started between the British and the French party, British and the French company in India. But as it was the part of a larger war, because it was the time, in Europe, the British and French party were fighting each other, the British and French Empire, and both the empires were fighting on American continent as well, in Canada, in many other regions. So as it was now this Third Carnatic War was the part of a global war between the British and the French party. So that's why the French government sent a military support directly from Paris. And there was advent of a military commander in India. You will hear the name Count de Lally. Count de Lally. So Count de Lally came to India. But Count de Lally, just like you can say, just like he was imposed from Paris, just like a parachute, he jumped into this Carnatic question, but he was not having the knowledge of the local issues. He was an outsider. If Dupleix could have been present in Carnatic at that time, so Dupleix was very tactful and he might have managed the situation in quite better manner, but Godehu was not so much competent. He could not apprise Count de Lally about the actual situation in South India, or Count de Lally, after coming to India, he committed a tactical mistake. What was tactical mistake? I have told you earlier. The Dupleix has already deployed Bussy, a military officer in Hyderabad court, in order to protect the French interest in Hyderabad. But after coming to India, Count de Lally just sent an order to Bussy, he just vacate Hyderabad and come to the battlefield to help me. So as Bussy vacated Hyderabad, British entered into Hyderabad as well. So French lost Hyderabad. Carnatic was already under the influence of the British. A French party just before, in course of the Third Carnatic War, lost Hyderabad as well. So now French was simply depending over a tiny region of Pondicherry because it lost Hyderabad as well. And then in 1760, my students, you might have read about the Battle of Vandivas. The Battle of Vandivas was a very decisive battle. Okay, it was in this battle, the British commander was Sir Eyre Coote and French commander was Count de Lally. So Sir Eyre Coote defeated Count de Lally in the Battle of Vandivas and won the battle. So this battle was supposed to be a decisive battle because it gave a big blow to French ambition of empire building in India, and French could not think over asserting its hegemony over India, and French lost its future in India after this Battle of Vandivas. Then after that in 1763 finally, because French lost forever in the Battle of Vandivas, but when 7 Years' War ended in Europe in 1763, so France was really a loser. France lost Canada in America and India also. So it was in the Treaty of Paris. Treaty of Paris was concluded after this war in 1763. After all, the French company was returned. The factories of French companies were returned to it, but French company was not allowed to fortify its factory again, but at least it could enjoy its factory. But now French power became impotent in India forever. So the Third Carnatic War was a big blow to the French company in India, and 7 Years' War was a big blow to the French power in the world. In the conflict between the British and French Empire for possessing a larger chunk of the world colony, finally French were the losers and British were the gainers. In this way, you can say this war ended. So, Mr. Ankur, are you waiting for some question? Yeah. Any relationship between Kannauj? Kannauj? Why Kannauj? Gitika, you are, I think here you are not clear, possibly. Kannauj, or are you clear about your question? From where you have taken the term Kannauj? Are you confused with the Battle of Tarain at the time of Prithviraj Chauhan? At that time, you can say the battle of the ruler of Kannauj was Jayachand, and Delhi and Ajmer was Prithviraj Chauhan, and then earlier the Prithviraj Chauhan lost in the second battle of Tarain, and then in the battle of Chandavari, when the ruler of Kannauj, Jayachand, lost. Are you confused about this incident, Gitika? Please make me clear. This is the place. Saint Thome was the name of the place where the war occurred. So that's why it is called the Battle of Saint Thome. Any further question? Now I am going to discuss merits where the Carnatic War was that the British emerged to be a most powerful company in India, most powerful European entity in India. Negative point was that the French were the loser. But here I have already given you the study material and their third Carnatic War after regions like Canada, and then you come to know. On the other hand, during the 7 Years' War in Europe, the defeat of French Empire at the hands of the British Empire shattered its dream of establishing a global empire, as defeat of France in this war resulted into the loss of important regions like Canada and India. So it was a loss for the British. Now you know establishment of the British rule in India. Yeah. Hello, once again, please repeat the question. इंग्लिश ने की थी, इंग्लिश ने अनवरुद्दीन की हेल्प की थी, लेकिन इसके बावजूद भी फ्रेंच हावी हो गए. ये क्वेश्चन वैलिड है, लेकिन बैटल फील्ड में तो ब्रिटिश को ऐसा लगा कि भाई अनवरुद्दीन की 10,000 सोल्जर्स है, वो विन करेंगे, बट इट वाज नॉट पॉसिबल. एक्चुअली ब्रिटिश डिड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ मिसकैलकुलेशन. Anbaruddin, a powerful king, and he's owning 10,000 soldiers. In the battle of Saint Thome, he has already sent 10,000 soldiers. And French army was a meager army, a very, you can say, a smaller contingent before the British army. Before the army of Anbaruddin. So British were confident about the fact that Anbaruddin will give a crushing defeat to the French party. But it was a major miscalculation on the part of the British company. That's why the British company could not extend a larger help to Anwaruddin. Otherwise, the British company was always ready to give support to Anwaruddin. क्योंकि ये कर्नाटिक स्टेट है ना भारतीय, देखो दिस इज कर्नाटिक स्टेट, दिस इज देखो कर्नाटिक स्टेट इट वाज. And both Madras and Pondicherry both were lying in the part of Carnatic state. So as the British and French party were fighting, and the base of the French was Pondicherry and base of the British was Madras, and both were lying within the boundary of Carnatic, that's why it was known as Carnatic War. Actually, Indian party could not use modern weapons at that time. My students, even the war tactics have undergone a major change from time to time. If you will just make a study of, or you can say go through the history of the war tactics in India, you will come to realize when Aryans and Vedic Aryans came to India, they brought with them the horse-drawn chariots. And at that time, the horse-drawn chariot was a new military technology whose reply was not given by the indigenous people, and it became a major factor behind the success of Aryans. After some time, when there was the formation of Magdhan Empire, so at that time the elephant corpse became the mainstay of the army, and elephant corpse became the pillar of the soldiery at that time. But from Gupta period onwards, and particularly after Kushanas, the horse gained in importance, and you can say horse riding became the important, you can say, military tactics at that time. And particularly after the advent of Turks from 10th century onwards, it was the technique of mounted archers. Mounted archers means that they were just taking the iron stirrup in horse, and with the support of iron stirrups, they used to catch up the stomach of horse, so their both the legs and their hands were free, so they could use the archery. Archery means tir dhanush war ke liye. So this was a new technique. Then Babur, when brought and introduced the cannons in India for the first time at the fort of Bhira, when Babur came to India, so it was the introduction of the new technique of cannons. And then finally, you know, even British and French party came to India, so they introduced the new technique, that is light infantry. You want foot soldiers taking guns into the hand, they are taking the position, and horse rider, elephant riders, they are rushing to the spot, and they will simply take their target and shoot them out, and they will fall down just like the, you know, fallen fruits. Means that they will just fall down from their horse and elephant, and foot soldiers taking guns into the hand could have overpowered them. So in the Battle of Saint Tome, it was the new military tactics which got success. Because there was the greater geographical distance between Afghanistan and Punjab. Ahmad Shah Abdali was using Punjab or the northern India only for looting and plundering. It was not possible for them to have the control over northern India from Afghanistan, because there was the larger geographical distance between the two regions, and at that time even the transport and communication lines were not so strong. His question is not clear. Please repeat again. Yes, at least in Second Carnatic War, there was the war between the two on the issue of succession matter. But succession matter, on the behalf of succession, actually they were, you can say, pursuing, they were nourishing, they were supporting their own interest. So they were promoting their own interest, and as their interest was protected by one successor or the other, so they preferred the successor in order to help themselves. It was not helping the successor, they were helping themselves. This was the case. Are you clear? Now my friends, here the question is, why did British could win the Carnatic War? Here you come to know the British company was more professional and successful in its trade and commerce. And economically, British company was more advanced, commercially more successful than the French company. So even the economic resources helped British company to overcome the French company. Second one was, unlike the French company, the British company was a joint stock company, so there was negligible undue interference from the British government, and also it could take decisions independently. अब वन मेजर बॉटलनेक्स, माय स्टूडेंट्स हिंदी वाले भी जो तुम हो समझ लो कि जैसे ज्वाइंट स्टॉक कंपनी होती है उसमें प्रोफेशनल मैनेजमेंट होता है, सो देयर वाज द इंडिपेंडेंट डिसीजन मेकिंग. In joint stock company, the management was free to choose its hand. The management could take the independent decision, but which was the government controlled company. So there was a major difficulty in the government controlled company. If the government didn't allow the professional management or did not allow the company to take independent decision, and there was undue intervention from the side of the government. It was a major bottleneck or major impediment in the success of the French party. And third one point is, the British company was served by able military commanders such as Robert Clive and Sir Eyre Coote, etc. Means कि the British officers were more competent. जो British अधिकारी थे वो ज़्यादा सक्षम थे, ज़्यादा competent थे. And in French party, if you are just taking Dupleix as an exception, so no other French officer was having the far-sightedness as was reflected by the Robert Clive and Sir Eyre Coote like officers in the British party. मतलब उधर अगर डुप्ले को तुम एक्सेप्शन में रखोगे तो कोई बहुत कॉम्पिटेंट या दूरदर्शी या फार साइटेड है नहीं. After the Battle of Plassey, the British company gained plenty of resources in Bengal. Particularly तुम देख सकते हो कि जब when the British won the Battle of Plassey, because in two Carnatic wars occurred before the Battle of Plassey, but the third Carnatic war took place after the Battle of Plassey. So as the third Carnatic war took place after the Battle of Plassey, so now the resources of Bengal could be appropriated by the British party in order to strengthen its position in Carnatic region. The British could have exploited the resources of Bengal for its success in Carnatic region. तो बंगाल का रिसोर्सेज जो संसाधन है वो भी ब्रिटिश को हाथ लगा, ये भी एक सक्सेस का कारण हुआ. तो दैट वाज द फैक्टर. अब करेक्ट सीक्वेंस. अब the superior naval power of Britain as compared to that of France also played a significant role in establishing British supremacy over India. Then engagement of France in the European politics was also significantly responsible for their defeat. अब देखो, naval force of Britain, it was also a major factor because at that time the British naval force was the most powerful force in the world. So the French could not give a match for the French naval force or naval army. So this was the case. Here I have dealt with a question. You people might have go through the question, observe the question. The Carnatic Wars not only decided the future of the British and the French companies in India, but also decided the future of the British and the French empires outside India. Examine the statement. यहाँ पर मैंने एक क्वेश्चन यह दिया है कि जो कर्नाटिक वॉर है वो केवल इंडिया के अंदर ब्रिटिश और फ्रेंच कंपनी के फ्यूचर को ही डिसाइड नहीं किया, बल्कि जो ब्रिटिश और फ्रेंच एम्पायर जो यूरोप में है उसके फ्यूचर को भी डिसाइड कर दिया. वही चीज मैंने दिया है. तो देखो, although the Carnatic wars were fought in India but its roots lay in Europe, these wars were an extension of the struggle between France and England and to establish a formidable empire. Therefore, future of the French company in India depended on the future of French empire. Now point is, the French empire was always going to help the French company and British empire was always going to help British company. So when the two companies were fighting in India, so their future depends over their master in Europe. Whose master is going to win the battle? If French empire will win the battle, then the position of the French company would be stronger in India. If the British empire will win the battle, then the position of the British company will be stronger in India. So Dupleix, the French governor in India, turned the French company towards the goal of political domination. This policy became visible during the Second Carnatic War when Dupleix made efforts to establish French control over the states of Hyderabad and Carnatic, but due to unnecessary interference of the French government and efficient management and better resources of the British company, the French company lagged behind. After losing the Battle of Vandivas, its dream of empire building was completely shattered. On the other hand, the French Empire itself had lagged behind the British Empire. This was due to the structure of the British government and the successful mercantile policy of Britain. Finally, after losing the 7 Years' War, France lost Canada in the American continent and India in Asia. Thus, the Carnatic War shattered the dream of both the French Company and the French Empire together. My students, you might have gone through this question. Anywhere you will find difficulty, I am here to help you. I think this is crystal clear. Another question. Do you agree with the statement that the government intervention was responsible for the failure of the French company against the British company in India? Answer in favor of your opinion. मतलब here the question is कि was the government, जैसे देखो, do you agree with the statement that the government intervention was responsible for the failure of the French company against the British company in India? Answer in favor of your opinion. My students, firstly make me clear. Ankur ask a question from them. What are you replying? What are you doing? Okay, so just stop the reply please and ask them the question. First let them identify the question, whether the question is hypothetical or argumentative. Yes, good. You are the good student, you are the brilliant student. Question is argumentative. Do you agree? So how are you going to deal with this question? Please pay attention to it. The Carnatic Wars of the 18th century were the outcome of a prolonged struggle for political supremacy between the British Company and the French Company within India, and between the British Empire and the French Empire outside India. Okay, that is introductory line. Definitely, undue government intervention in the decision making of the French company was one of the most important factors responsible for the French company to lag behind the British company in India, but there were some other factors as well which resulted into the defeat of the French company. My students, here I have taken, because this question is the argumentative question, it is my thesis. My thesis is definitely the undue intervention by the French government into the internal matter of the French company was accountable, but it was not a single one factor. It was an important factor, but apart from this factor, other factors were also accountable. The decision of sacking a capable administrator like Dupleix and sending Count de Lally directly from Paris to lead in battle proved disastrous for the company. Point first. Point two. Mercantile policy of the British company was more successful than that of the French company, and also the British company had able commanders like Robert Clive and Sir Eyre Coote. Point third, the British company procured abundant resources from Bengal. And point four, the French Empire lagged behind the British Empire in global politics. In this way, more than one factor were responsible behind the defeat of the French company. So my students, here my stand is, we are going to accept this, the intervention by the French government into the internal matter of, undue intervention by the French government in internal matter of the French company was definitely a factor, but it was not a single one factor, but even other factors were accountable behind that. This is my student. Okay. My student, what do I do? Bengal, but my time is over now. So today I have to stop here. Tomorrow I will deal with Bengal, and then I will move to the second one part, mercantilism, you can say colonialism, after finishing Bengal. But today I got the limited time. तो जो तुम लोग इंग्लिश वाले हो, तो उन लोग अगर जिसको हिंदी वाला लेक्चर मैं सुनना चाहते हो, तो मेरे हिंदी वाले साइट पर भी आ जाना, तो दैट इज बेटर. अब इसमें है कि दोनों चीजें अगर बराबर बराबर मैं बोलने लगूंगा तो फिर बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लग जाएगा. तो एक काम करते हैं, बीच में कुछ कुछ वर्ड्स आई विल हेल्प यू इन हिंदी एज वेल, लेकिन बोलना तो इंग्लिश में ही पड़ेगा. तुमको भी अगर इंग्लिश मीडियम है तो लिखना तो इंग्लिश में पड़ेगा. तो तुम्हारा फिर जो वोकैबुलरी है वो बढ़ेगी तब जब तुम इंग्लिश में सुनोगे और इंग्लिश में लिखोगे. इसलिए तुम लोग भी थोड़ा सा पुश करो और मैं भी अपनी तरफ से कोशिश करता हूँ. एंड जस्ट टेल मी कि आर यू ओके? because I am stopping class here. I will start from tomorrow. So my students, please give a hint to me. Are you okay? सब ठीक है मेरे स्टूडेंट्स? I'll see you tomorrow. And today I have sent you the study material as well. Okay.